I had to start RVing in 2025, there's one thing that I do first, and almost nobody's talking about it. I learned the hard way. I picked the wrong rig. I wasted thousands. Then I had to rethink my decision in just a few months. Most new RVers make this mistake and don't even realize it until it's too late. But once you understand this decision, everything else gets easier. The rig, the budget, and even your travel style. I'm going to show you exactly what it is. That way you can make the right call the first time. Let's dive in. First thing you're going to want to do is ask yourself a question. What do you plan on doing with your RV? So in my case, I was planning on renting the RV out and then using it, say on weekend trips or whenever we had time available, or say the said trailer was rented. Let me tell you, that's a whole nother video. I decided to go with a travel trailer. I went ahead and I did my research on a truck that would be able to haul it. The reason being is because the travel trailer and truck combination for me, for what I found, both of them slightly used, fit my budget. And then with me renting it out, should help pay the monthly expenses involved in said trailer. I did this for 3 years. All said and done, come to find out that I really actually didn't need such a big trailer for my needs. I probably would have been better off with a truck topper. Now it comes to my next point. Why your dream rig might actually be your worst nightmare. If I had the money to spend, able to, I would have probably tried to get a Class A camper. I've driven a school bus before, but there's a lot of things you got to think about. Is you're going to be limited on campgrounds with such a big rig that you can go to. Some boondocking spots will be more difficult to get into. You never know if it's going to be a paved road. You never know if it's going to be going uphill, what kind of grade it's going to have. I mean, I have trailer roadside assistance as well as truck roadside assistance, but there are times that you're not going to be able to get a hold of said roadside assistance. That is something that I would take into account the next time I buy an RV. The other thing, is it going to be too small? Are you going to have enough storage? After doing some research, I started leaning towards the CClass RV, which we'll go into the classes here shortly. I started leaning into the CClass RV. I've been thinking about going solo on the road, and I have to say that I don't know that I want to do it in this trailer, because when you're backing up a trailer, I don't think I'd ever want to do it without a spotter, which is a second person watching you from the outside, telling you, yes, go, right, left, stop, go. I think I would want something smaller, like a truck topper with a bathroom. So I wouldn't mind doing the camper van, but I haven't explored the whole having a compostable toilet instead of having like the sewer connections that you have with most RVs. Make sure your dream RV isn't going to be your worst nightmare. Do your research. So now the questions you got to ask yourself: are you wanting to be a full-time RVer? Are you wanting to boondock? Are you going to be strictly campground? Are you only going to be going to like national parks or outdoorsy areas? Are you going to want to go check out some of the cities nearby? As an example, we camped an hour outside of San Francisco, took my blue Chevy Silverado to San Francisco. I don't know if you've ever driven in San Francisco, but it's got some major hills. And there was one in particular with a grade. And I swear I heard my tires squeal on the way down. Heather, my sister, was with me at the time. She was freaking out. At the end of the hill, there was a stop sign. So you're like this with the stop sign. Also, before that hill, there was a sign that said no trucks. And that's when I was like, well, Heather, I think we should probably turn around. And she's like, oh, no, they mean semi-trucks. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So anyways, I wish I actually had a smaller vehicle for driving in San Francisco. And I'm actually pretty good at parallel parking a Chevy Silverado. It does take some time to do so. Another thing I think about is driving in the mountain. Drove down Route 1 in California, very windy, hilly road. Ooh, sometimes terrifying. Okay, and then one last thing before we move on. I do want to let you know that how are you going to back up the rig? Not all campsites have pull-through, and sometimes they have some weird angles. You have to maneuver these, either the trailer or even just, your Class C, Class A, whatever you got, into these spots. So keep in mind that that's something you may have to deal with. For anybody with a significant other, think to yourself, yourself, are you both going to be willing to learn how to drive it? Because what if something happens? There's an emergency. You have to take your rig into San Francisco hospital area because somebody had an emergency. Now, there are many different types of RVs. I'm not going to go into all of them today. I do want to at least focus in on a little bit on each of the top 5. One is the first one, which is what I decided to go with, the travel trailer. Some of the pros that I like, one, it was more affordable. 2, there was so many different sizes and shapes. You had a lot to choose from. 3, I also really enjoyed that I can take my truck off the trailer and go to, say San Francisco or wherever, and not have to haul my trailer with me. The biggest cons for me is I did have to make sure I bought a vehicle that was going to be able to haul the trailer. The cheaper trucks, not all of them are going to be able to haul the amount of weight that that trailer may have. They will tell you usually the dry way, but just keep in mind that you are going to have probably some water in there, maybe even some sewage, as well as all your other goodies and things like that too as well. So it's going to add to the weight. I ended up choosing a Chevy Silverado. It was actually my second Chevy Silverado. I liked my first one. It was an older one, and it was what I used for my food trailer. That's what I went ahead and gone with. If you've never backed up a trailer before, it's a little more difficult than, say, just backing up a A-Class RV. Real quick, just a story. Never driven a trailer. Heather and I decided to go to Nashville, Tennessee and buy a trailer that we found online. We had everything ready, called the dealership. Super excited. As I'm leaving this camper sales area, there was another gentleman with a trailer and I didn't think I could get around him. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, I don't think I can get around. Is there any chance you can move forward a little bit? Well, there was a couple of them, and they were all hooting, oh, you got this, da-da-da-da-da-da. So here's what I decided to do. I went ahead and did it, and bam! I hit their trailer. Brand new it. First day ever driving a trailer. Right out of the gate. Damaged. Anyways, I hope that doesn't happen to you. Just another story. I have plenty of them as we go along in this series of my YouTube journey. The second most popular RV is a CClass. These are usually built on a truck chassis. One major thing about them is they are drivable, so you don't have to have another vehicle if you don't want to. Now, Class Cs, they can get pretty big, but they're generally in between size. A is the biggest, B is I wouldn't say smallest, but B is is a pretty small, like a camper van. And then C is almost like a U-Haul, but of course with all the living inside of it. A lot of times these are easier to drive than an A-Class. A-Class would be like driving a school bus around. Usually it sleeps more people. There's usually like a bed above the cab. And a lot of times there could be a bedroom in the back. The other thing is it also includes usually a full kitchen and bathroom. Keep an eye out. I'll be doing a tour of my trailer in another video. I don't have a stove. So I have the range, but I don't have the stove. Whereas a lot of the C-Class trailers will have said stove. Some of the cons that I don't think I would enjoy with a C-Class. 1, the fuel mileage is not as good. 2, it's bulky, so it's going to be really hard to drive in cities, and I do want to explore cities. I like the outdoors more. I would rather go to if I had to choose between a national park or a city, I would choose a national park, but I have friends and family in cities. I also do want to see a lot of the sights in a city, so it is something important to me. So if I did ever get a C-Class, I would want to have a vehicle towed behind it. The third most popular RV is the A-Class motorhome. This one's usually built on like a bus chassis. These ones are usually the most luxurious. Not always, but usually. They're also usually the most spacious too as well. Some of the pros usually have a large fridge. A washer and dryer comes with a lot of them. I went and toured one when I was looking for my travel trailer that had an upstairs. I mean, what? You talk about glamping. I've never had a problem with storage in my travel trailer, but I also don't have a lot of stuff. So if you are somebody who struggles with storage and has a lot of stuff, they do have plenty of storage usually in the Class A's. So some of the cons to a Class A is 1, the fuel mileage is not very good at all, ranging between 6 to 10 miles per gallon. Another thing would be they are harder to drive. They're big, they're bulky. So if you're not used to driving something as big as a bus, then, that's something to take into account. Again, you're both willing to drive it. They're very expensive. Like the cheap one I found, it was, I'd say a mid-size bus size. It was going for $130,000. And this was 3 years ago when I bought the travel trailer. Could be a lot more now too as well. I've also seen them go, I mean, they go into the millions of dollars, but standard, I mean, I've seen 300,000, 400,000 easy for these Class A RVs. The fourth most popular is the fifth wheel. Now, the fifth wheel is not drivable. It's basically like a travel trailer, but instead of it being on the hitch, you actually mount it inside of the truck bed. One of the things about a fifth wheel is with the hitch being mounted in the truck bed, it is actually a lot more stable to tow. So I would say safer. They are great for long terms or full-time RV living. They're usually bigger than a travel trailer, so they're going to be a lot more spacious. They're going to have a lot more storage. Some of the cons, though, about the fifth wheel, you can't use the truck bed for storage while towing. And this one does require a heavy-duty pickup truck for hauling it. The fifth most popular is the Class B. Now, Class B is on a van chassis. It's going to be easier to maneuver. It's going to have basic living quarters, ideal for solo or even couples. It's easy to park. It's easy to drive. It also has better fuel efficiency. Some of the cons is you're limited on your living space as well as you're limited on your storage space. Your tanks are smaller, and you usually don't have that many amenities when it comes to your kitchen and bathroom. Now, I know I haven't said all the RV types out there, but in the comments, leave below what kind of RV are you looking to get or have already got, and what you think the pros and cons to are. I would like to build a community of campers so we can all just help each other to make RV life easier.
My name is Shane with MapBound, and if you enjoy camping like I do, be sure and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.